Welcome to a very special edition of Coffee with Kelly. I always want to bring you quality content and examples of servant leaders that are doing amazing things around the world and giving us the example of what great leadership is. Well, today you're going to get a huge dose of that, a lot of leadership caffeine. I've waited a very long time, almost a year, for this special episode. And that just goes to show that be persistent, be patient, be respectful, and in time, good things come to those who wait. So Coffee with Kelly Tribe, if you're ready, as we always say, just brew it. Allow me to introduce my next very special guest, the one and only Mr. Johnny C. Taylor Jr., the CEO and President of SHRM. Johnny, welcome.
Welcome. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. So good that you've traveled all the way here to Washington, D.C. area, and you're in the studio with me. I'm really honored. I think I met you, and I'm trying to think. We were in Florida.
Yes, we were.
We were in Florida, and I was with, I guess it was Palm Beach County, if I remember correctly.
The annual Palm Beach County SHRM conference. You were the opening keynote.
I was the opening keynote.
I was the closing. And when I saw that dynamic was going to happen,
we knew it was going to be a great show.
Oh, my Lanta.
My Lanta. I used that. I thought I was the only person that used that. But it's really good to see you. Congratulations on 5 years. That's amazing. And I know you're supposed to ask me questions, but can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What made you start it? Why 5 years ago? Like, what happened?
So when you really think about it, 5 years ago next week was the anniversary of when the world shut down.
Wow. Makes sense.
When COVID happened.
That's right.
And I was not able to speak on stages. I wasn't able to work inside organizations and doing my leadership programs. And I said, well, I can't do nothing.
Right.
What can I do? So literally, I shifted very quickly. And I had an idea. I love coffee.
Yes.
A lot say that I have OCD, obsessive coffee disorder.
I'm with you.
It's kind of my vice.
I'm totally with you, right?
And I said, well, what can I do? Because my community has been so good to me. Now it's time for me to serve them.
Okay.
And so I had an idea. I said, well, somebody can teach me Zoom. I don't know how to do it. So my good friend Nicole spent a weekend and she said, Kelly, I'm going to teach you Zoom. And I said, well, I'm just going to open up a virtual coffee shop and we'll call it Coffee with Kelly. And I'll just invite whoever wants to come and I'll just be there for them because we didn't know what was happening.
We did.
And it was just a way for me to serve whomever showed up on Zoom. And the first episode, 5 people showed up. I was one of them.
Right.
And I just opened it up and I did a leadership lesson about having courage during hard times.
Yes.
And then we opened up for dialogue. And that's how the birth of Coffee with Kelly started 5 years ago. And
Love
what
this.
It is today. Sitting here with you and the people that I've had the experiences of speaking with and the community around this, I would have never known where it would go.
So I have this statement that sometimes people get, I don't know how you take it, but it's like COVID wasn't all bad.
That's correct.
And while it's horrible that people lost their lives, I mean, it's seriously, and it impacted people's livelihoods, people lost their jobs, furloughed, laid off, etc. What we saw, I love stories like yours, where you found yourself in the moment, and you said, what do I do? And you may not fully appreciate this, but one of those 5, or it's grown to your bigger audience now, you actually change lives every day. I mean, there were people sitting at home lonely, scared, and because everyone didn't have another person to talk to during that period of time. So just your being able to come in, have coffee with Kelly, literally may have changed someone's life and their trajectory once we came on the other side of COVID. Someone said the other day, there's BC and AC, when we're talking so it was before COVID and after COVID.
Yes, I love that. I love it.
Like how we think about time. And it's hard to think about the BC because I don't, it's like all of a sudden,
it's a blur.
It's a big blur. It's a big blur. So thank you for having me and congratulations on 5 years.
Thank you so much. And we have some traditions.
Tell me.
So I want to welcome you to the Coffee with Kelly family because once you've had Coffee with Kelly, you're in. You are in the family.
Okay.
So you officially we call this our hug and a mug.
I love it.
So this is officially yours. And I love that you dressed.
And it matches. How about it? How
Yeah.
about it?
Yeah.
I deliver.
This, as the younger generation might say, that we are pretty riz today.
Yeah. Oh,
Is
Riz.
that the word?
I don't know. You're
Riz.
teaching me.
Riz is the word.
What does it mean?
It means we have charisma.
Oh.
So
Dr. Riz.
So ask your daughter about that. Ask your daughter
I'm
about
gonna be
that.
cool tonight.
Yeah.
You got Riz, baby.
So one of our traditions is we always start with an intention and a word for the day. And so as I'm getting ready to host Coffee with Kelly, I always think, where am I going to be? What am I going to be doing? And what's the intention for today? And I thought long and hard about this word.
Okay.
And so the word of the day I chose is manifest. And I chose that, Johnny, because I manifested this moment.
How about it?
Back in May, when we were at the Palm Beach County SHRM conference.
Yes.
Seeing you speak live, and I've seen you speak for many years, Global Leadership Summit.
Yes.
That's when I was first and captivated with you. I'm like, I would love to sit down and have a conversation with Johnny C. Taylor one day, because you just emulate what leadership is.
Thank you.
And it's hard to find that.
Thank you.
It's hard to find
that.
That.
Really means a lot. Thank you.
Manifest is the word I came with today, because I believe if you really think about good things that can happen in your life, it's that positive energy that we can attract. And this was manifested.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
To the great one, thank you for manifesting this.
Absolutely. So I have to ask you a question, because this is Coffee with Kelly. How do you like your coffee, Johnny?
Oh, gosh. So this is a funny, and it'll make it brief. So cream and sugar, just hot coffee, but I only drink Dunkin' Donuts. That's the only brand that I drink. And it's interesting because Starbucks is a bold coffee, so I don't digest it so well, more than you want to know. But so Dunkin' Donuts, little cream, little sugar. But here's the really fascinating part about this story. My favorite flavor is pumpkin spice.
Ooh.
And as you know, it's only seasonal.
Ooh.
So I
Good choice.
That. Yeah, but what I do, I need it for the rest of the year. So here's what I do. It comes in and call it September, and by December, it's gone. So I go to the Dunkin' Donuts in the area, and I go to the franchise manager, and I say, can I buy, yes, literally, can I buy a couple of your jugs of pumpkin spice before you're out of it, because it's seasonal. And I go pick up all of these, and then I freeze them, and I pull them out all year long so that I can buy my base coffee, if you will. And if I'm at home, I do 3, pumps of it. And if I'm in the office, I bring one to the office, and all year long I have pumpkin spice. So I'm probably the only person who can claim to having Dunkin' Donuts pumpkin spice in March.
I give you credit. That is, you go
I
all in on the coffee.
I know exactly what I want. That's right. So
my goodness.
That's my coffee. How about you? You didn't tell me.
I'm a Starbucks girl.
Okay.
So, we always say just be yourself.
That's right.
That's one of our core values.
Yes.
So be you. Whatever you love,
do you.
We love you for who you are.
That's right.
I like a grande hot non-fat latte with cinnamon powder.
Oh.
That's my go-to.
Sounds fancy.
Yeah. Well, it's not like 3 pumps of macchiato and cinnamon sugar. Like, I don't know how some of these people do their orders.
And I don't know how they afford them. Because at this point, right? They're like $8 once you finish doing all of these extras and soy and this and that. Whatever. I'm basic hot cup of Dunkin' Donuts coffee, little cream, little sugar, and 3 pumps. 3. You have to, of pumpkin spice.
Beautiful. It sounds delicious. So we have another tradition, and I'm interested in this, is we're high energy groups. You're fitting in really well here. I mean, you are in. We love good music during an episode of Coffee with Kelly. And, we bring in different theme songs and good high energy music. If you were to think about a theme song that would be like your walk-up song, or what's on your playlist, what would we find?
So it's on my playlist, although it's an older song, and not old, but so Mary J. Blige has a song that says "Just Fine." That's the name of the song, and it really kind of, your audience will relate to it. It's just she talks about how wonderful life is, and that she's just fine, and that all of the lyrics are about, they're upbeat, they're energetic. So that's my old school song, which is "Just Fine." I just love that song, and then "Unstoppable," which is a big, I love that song. I love "Unstoppable." So those are the two songs. And I actually play those in the morning because I work hard to keep myself motivated. Not that it takes that much because I'm kind of high strung anyway. But, when you run a large business, when you have members, 340,000 of them all over the world, and they all have a different opinion about everything, you may get some negative notes every once in a while. So you have to work to keep yourself motivated because there's some people out there who are themselves unhappy and they want you to join them in their unhappiness. And I turn on my music so I start the day with music that helps me compensate for the people who aren't happy and want me to join them.
That is why we do that.
That's why we do it.
Absolutely,
That's
because
right.
so many people, when they show up, and remember, we do this on Zoom.
Yes.
And what I find interesting when we have our Coffee with Kelly meetings on Zoom, like I thought people would be exhausted from Zoom.
No.
But on a Friday morning at 8 o'clock, there are anywhere between 70 to 100 people logging in to come to our show. And it's a testament that people are looking for positive energy.
That's right. And you give it to them. So,
But now they're getting a double dose of it today. So what is one thing people might be surprised to learn about you? Like they see you on all these stages, but tell us about you. Like what's something that people might be surprised to learn about you? I
am absolutely an introvert.
Get out.
No one believes that. Even when I take those little tests, INT, I'm absolutely, fundamentally at my core. So it takes a lot of energy for me to be around people, believe it or not. So I love people, to be clear. I'm so passionate about people. So this isn't that I don't like people. I'm just naturally shy. I naturally don't want to be the center of attention. No one, when you tell people, they're like, oh, no, my wonderful space is just in a room alone or with 3 or 4 close friends or family members. But when the group gets more than about 7 or 8, I get nervous. So every time I give a speech, when I saw you in Palm Beach, they put me in a room by myself and I need about 10 minutes to hype myself up to go out in front of people because I have stage fright. I literally have stage fright. So, and like when we do annual conference and I'm going to a room with 20,000+ people in the room, you have no idea how fearful. If someone took my blood pressure, then they think this guy's about to have a stroke because it stresses me out. I am an introvert.
And then you get up there and you just settle right in.
But it takes me, I actually am very conscious of when I settle in. It's about 14 to 16, maybe 20 seconds. But 14, I start to feel it. And by 20, I'm comfortable. But I'm so aware of it because I'm overcoming who Johnny naturally is, which is an introvert and never wants to be the center of attention. The attention happens, but I don't want it.
That's interesting because I don't think many people would ever.
Every year at annual conferences I've gotten here, I beg them for me not to have a speaking role. I happen to be, the audience loves me because it's our membership, thank God,
of course, yeah.
So I'm forced back on the stage. But if I had my way, I would never give an annual conference speech. And then our commercials, you've seen them.
Yes.
I don't want to be in those commercials. I never wanted to be on the commercials. I've been forced by one chief marketing officer and the new chief marketing officer as late as this last week when they said we're going to shoot our new commercials. I said, just let someone else do it. Like, I don't want to do that because when I'm in airports, people now stop me, and I'm just an introvert. I just as soon live my world going on by myself. So that's what people don't know about me. And thus this is really work for me to have such, visibility because it's not my space.
I think a lot of people are going to be very interested in what you just shared. So there's a lot going on in the world right now. And you are highly sought out from, executives all around the world. You have 340,000 SHRM members right now.
Around the globe, 180 countries. Yeah.
And in the past, 90, 60 days, you've been in a lot of different meetings.
Yes.
And a lot of our audience is HR professionals.
Yes.
And so I asked a lot of them coming up for this meeting. I said, what would you want to know? Right. What can Johnny teach us? And I think the biggest question right now that I would love your insight on, and I'm going to share with you this question.
Okay.
And this was asked by one of our audience members. And it says, in your opinion, Johnny, how can businesses continue to champion inclusive leadership opportunities in a way that aligns with both company values and external pressures. I know a lot of leaders that are in the DEI space, and they're very scared. They've done a lot of work, and now they don't know what to do.
Right. So my heart goes out to the folks whose passion and their careers and their passion and profession have been DE&I, because at this moment, right, this is scary.
Mm-hmm.
I would say a couple of things to them. One, you can continue to do the work, but the words might change. It's a really important point that this is about the work, not the words. So as a professional, if the words that we've used historically, and recently historically, by the way, there was no DE&I 20 years ago. It was just the D. Then as you and I know, it was D&I. Then it was DE&I. Then it was DEIB and A. So don't get, just as words come, they can go. So I really would tell them, just practically speaking, commit yourself to doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
And if the words have to change, don't dig in. We talked about some people who are believers.
Yeah.
And not calling anybody out here, a whole bunch of Torians out there, but maybe the words have to change, but you can still do the work. That would be number one. Number two is we do have to comply with the law. And the reality is, if we're being very honest with ourselves, some of the work got ahead of the law. We were doing things that, frankly, were probably not legal, in the air quotes legal. In other words, the law is pretty clear. We just saw a big case come to the U.S. Supreme Court, the Ames versus Ohio case, where non-minority plaintiffs had to go an extra step to prove that they were being discriminated in the workplace. Well, I'm not sure that was right. If you, as a white woman, and me as a black man, if you felt discriminated against in the workplace, you shouldn't have to prove a different standard than me. Discrimination is discrimination.
Right.
Non-inclusion or exclusion is bad for anyone. And the law protects everyone, right? So that would be the second thing, is I just say, find a way to do your work legally. That's all. And you can do legal inclusion and diversity work, hands down. So do that. And then you continue your work. And then third, and most importantly, remain committed to this work.
Mm-hmm.
So despite what everyone, or not everyone, what some very loud minority vocal group of people said, that SHRM is abandoning this work, not true. I can tell you, we need, our society is not as diverse as it's ever been, and it's becoming more diverse.
Mm-hmm.
And when you bring a whole bunch of diverse people together, you had better have an inclusion initiative, a belonging initiative, because otherwise these people will be at each other's necks. You talked about it earlier, how can you have an inclusive environment where everyone hates each other, or everyone's at each other's neck? So this work is more important than ever. Mm-hmm. This is not the time to abandon our inclusion work, but we've got to make sure that it's inclusive of everyone. Some of the work that we and some of our colleagues did in call it the last decade, mm-hmm. and maybe longer, was about helping historically underrepresented groups feel like they belong.
Right.
We didn't care about majority people, and that doesn't work for long, right? Yeah. You have to make sure that everyone feels included at work, that they belong, they're seen, they're heard, they're valued. So anyone who's listening right now, this is not about abandoning this work. The work has to be done. How you do it and is the key. And I'm so optimistic about the future of this work. Might it be called something else? Yes. And we're seeing a whole bunch of organizations call it something else.
Yeah.
By the way, SHRM told you that last year, that this was coming. People were upset back in July of last year when I said
the storm was
coming, and they didn't want to hear it. But guess what? We're in the middle of the storm now. And those of you who pull down your awnings, I'm from South Florida. So when someone tells you, weatherman says a hurricane's coming, you hurricane-proof your house, you put in, you hunker down. Prepare.
Yep.
Those who didn't are now in the middle of the storm, reacting and responding. And my heart goes out to you, but there's positivity on the other side of this.
That's right. It's how you view things, how you do things is how you view things.
Oh, I like that.
I think about that a lot. It's what's the mindset that you have going into it?
That's right.
Are you just going to give up?
Right.
Like, look at how much we have done.
That's right. That's right.
And are we just going to stop now?
And I think that's what we're hearing right now, which does bother me a little. Like, people are really, I'm done with this work. Well, no, That you can't just walk away because they're not doing it the way you want to do it or the way you've always done it. Maybe there is a better way to think about this. My goal, and I know this is your goal in life, let's unify people. Let's not divide people. And some, not all, but some of the DE&I work of the past divided people. And anything that divides our country is not a good thing to me. Let's figure out how to unite around a common goal. We're all Americans. We're all human beings, and we have a lot more in common than we have different.
That's correct.
I mean, that's what we can't ignore, how much we have in common. Let's focus on that. Appreciate our differences, but focus on our commonality.
One thing I learned from Craig Groeschel, who
Yes.
I know you are familiar with, is we appreciate people for their strengths,
Right.
but we connect with them through their weaknesses.
Amen and amen. That's right.
And that is so true because we do have a lot in common.
Yes.
And I think about some of the conversations we have on Coffee with Kelly is when people are vulnerable and they feel safe to have those open, vulnerable conversations, it gives others the feeling that, oh, I'm not alone.
That's right.
It's okay.
That's right.
You know, I'm not the only one going through this.
Well, even when you ask me, like, what's the thing you don't know? I could have told you something kind of,
Yeah.
but there are people I'm certain in your audience who say, oh my gosh, I thought that because he does this all of the time and that he doesn't get nervous at all. This is just a thing. You have someone sitting here saying, I have that same, like they can relate to that vulnerability because we're all human beings. Again, we have a lot more in common than we have different.
Yes. And I can relate to the stage fright thing too.
Do you?
A lot of people.
I can't tell.
Like, and that's the thing. It's,
Right.
It's, you show up the way that you show up, but nobody knows what's going on inside until you really get to know someone.
That's right.
And so I think how we look at how people show up at work, we may not know what is going on inside. And this is a big thing for me. I love leadership.
Yes.
You know
Yes,
that. I know
that's
you
right.
love
Yes,
leadership.
Yes.
And one of my absolute passions is helping leaders understand how to connect better with the people that they lead.
Well, yeah.
And there's so many challenges out there in the workforce with how do you connect with people? We've got 6 different generations
That's
in the
right.
workforce.
That's
You talk
right.
a lot about
That's right.
that.
Yep.
Why do you think leaders have such a hard time connecting with the people they work with?
So there are 3 real reasons
Okay.
that are obvious to me. Number one is so many leaders were put into leadership roles without being prepared
Amen.
for leadership.
Amen.
The assumption is if you're a good accountant, then you'll be a great manager of accountants. So like of course, Johnny's been a great accountant. He should lead the accounting department. So you just throw someone in because of their subject matter expertise or their tenure or both. So that is very clear to me that we are throwing people into jobs who are ill-equipped to do those jobs and we don't prepare them.
Yep.
Number 2, and you alluded to it, is the diversity of the workforce. It's really, really hard to know what how to manage a 27-year-old and how to manage a 67-year-old. Because there are true generational differences in the world. We were talking about it. How a 27-year-old thinks it's okay to show up to work, how to dress, is very different than how a 67-year-old thinks and how to show up. So you just have people who are thrown into these leadership roles, which makes it so difficult, is because of the diversity of our workforce. Age, gender, race, national origin, religion, like all of this stuff, people with neurodiversity, LGBTQ status, like you're trying to manage people. And it's like, my gosh, this is really hard because what I say to this person might offend that person. So it's just difficult because of our diversity. And then the third one is people have a different relationship with work than they had before COVID.
Yes, that is correct.
That was a defining moment. You know, I wrote a book called Reset.
Yes.
And it really was how people think about work. 2019, and we measure this at SHRM from 2019 till just 2021, where they want to work, when they want to work, for whom they want to work, like all this is now up for grabs. And so managing a workforce, people who say, I don't want to come to work 5 days a week. But we did that as the norm until 2020, until March of 2020.
Right.
That was normal. So what's the big deal right now? Some people don't want that. Like, I don't want to work with that person. Like, it is so complicated. So those are the 3 things to answer your questions. 1, we've thrown people into leadership jobs and we haven't prepared them for it.
I agree.
2, the diversity of our workforce makes it really difficult to manage. It's easy to manage a homogenous group of people with whom you have shared experiences, blah, 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 blah. And number 3, which is probably the biggest one, is people just have changed how they want to work and if they want to work. It's just a different world. And if you were managing, it's likely that you were a leader in 2019, and then literally overnight, everything changed on you. So you are now shifting how to manage and how to lead. It's really complicated. I tell you, the hardest part of my job is leadership now. It's not the numbers. It's not the marketing. It's not it's how in the world do I get 600 people all over the globe to follow me? Because you're not a leader if people aren't following. By definition.
That is true.
If you don't have followers, then you're not leading.
Right.
And that's the hardest part of this job.
Yeah. John Maxwell says, if you are saying you're lonely at the top, you're a hiker, not a leader.
Amen. I like that. I like that. Amen.
That's true. I can absolutely relate. And that's really what called me to the work that I do around leadership development is I was a top performer leading or in a sales role.
Yes.
So I knocked the KPIs out,
Right.
hit the budget, hit the goals. And when leadership roles became open, I got the tap on the shoulder.
Yes.
And so I was promoted, but never developed.
Well
and
said.
I wasn't prepared.
That's right.
And I did the best that I could.
Yes.
But having tough conversations, dealing with conflict, how to inspire people, I failed.
I got a great stat for you. You're not alone. 60% of first-time people managers fail. 60%. The SHRM data.
Yeah.
That's so you're frankly, if you had not, but overwhelmingly people fail in their first assignments as people managers for the reasons that you described. And I appreciate you being honest about it because some people will never admit they weren't good at it. Like, oh, of course I was a people man. I was great. No, ask the people who worked for you during that period.
Oh, I learned that. Once I was willing to hear the feedback, that was the key. But most aren't willing to hear it. So here's another question. When I think about the leaders of those leaders that are being promoted but not developed, why aren't more organizations developing those leaders? Like, where do you see the hesitation there? What do you hear?
One, there's just no appreciation for it. Forever we talked about people are our most important asset. We want our people engaged. They didn't. They said it. The leaders of the leaders said it, but I don't think they really believed it. I think it was a talking point. Because if you truly believed that, then you would select leaders better, you would develop leaders better, you would invest in those leaders more. So I think they were just talking. Fast forward, we're in a knowledge-based economy.
Yes.
And in a knowledge-based economy, you can't just say that because people are your differentiator. You've actually now got to invest in it. I'm excited, Kelly, to tell you that more and more, the CEOs that I know, and I know a lot of them, are now talking about leadership in a way that they've never talked about it. They're talking about empathy. Like, that was never a word that you heard out of a hard-driving CEO's mouth. They're talking about culture. Words that they never just, that was like the HR kumbaya.
Yep.
Back in
HR will handle it.
They'll handle the culture, buy some popcorn machines and free massages and, the stuff that would get people free lunch.
Right.
And it was 101 in the culture place. And then they're talking a lot about civility. Like, they are finally understanding that when people aren't happy, they tell you. And even if you're the CEO, they tell you. And they resist and they act out at work. And it takes really well-trained and developed leaders to manage this new workforce. So finally, I think we're not fully there, but this is not the world that I grew up in. When I was in business, they said all of the right things, but did not put any focus on it. Now they are doing it. There's a lot of intentionality around leadership.
And, just thinking about all that I've learned from the Gallup organization, and I know you know the Gallup organization well, it's the metrics behind employee engagement and leadership. 70% of employee engagement stems from leadership.
Period. If people don't feel and they will either quit and stay, which is probably worse than quitting.
Worse.
Far worse is the person who says, I'm not being led, so I'm going to quit and stay. Or they become a part of the resistance movement. So now your culture is totally a mess because you're going that way and they're going that way and they're trying to recruit other people to go with them that way. So now you have an internal problem. And it ultimately, CEOs will tell you, it affects productivity, efficiency, and profitability. And when that happens, it is a CEO issue.
That's
and I think
an
that's
ROI
what's
problem.
It is an ROI problem.
Absolutely. So, topic I cannot wait to talk to you about.
Brace for it, Johnny.
As I mentioned, Gallup, you used to be
I was on the board
for Gallup.
Yep, 8 years.
So, and I've heard, so correct me if I'm wrong, that you are a fan of Clifton Strengths.
I am.
This is work that I've poured a lot of passion behind. I will say that understanding my own Clifton Strengths really was a game changer for me.
Yes, me too.
And I really want to talk about what you've learned through that. So I'm curious, when you think about your strengths and what you've learned in your career, what strength in your most dominant strengths do you think has really helped you most recently when you think about who you are as a leader?
So it would be, so this is going to be real. Can I do two?
Yes,
you gave me
can.
one.
Yes,
okay, I have to
you
get
can.
permission. You asked me the most.
Yeah.
So the relator has always been my strength, and it goes back to leading people and people wanting to follow you. So that's my number one. I mean, it's consistently been number one. I see people, and that makes me an empath and everything else. So, but on the business side, it's the futuristic. Being able to see not where the puck is, but where it's going has been really, really, really good for me as a leader, because it builds trust over time. And so what do I mean by that? Using the diversity example, we knew DE&I was under attack a year ago. Being able to read the tea leaves in Washington, D.C., in CEO boardrooms, et cetera, we're like, something's happening here. And as you know, and pointed out in June of last year, I stood in the front of the audience in Chicago. We're in Chicago? I think we're in Chicago. For our annual conference. And I said, something's coming down the pipe. And that's part of being the futuristic. Like, you can see where things are going to land. And I didn't just call out DE&I, but I talked about AI.
Yes.
I talked about the K through 12 public education system, like all of these issues. And that being a futuristic, that it allows you to see it and say it. Now, here's the part about leadership. Because you're so far ahead of where things are, when you say it, everyone thinks you're crazy. Some hate you, some despise you. I mean, it's just a cycle, and you have to be willing to ride that. And then 8, 9 months, sometimes 2, 3 years later, he said it. SHRM said it. This is where this was going. So those are my two, the futuristic and the relator. Yours. I'm dying here. What's your favorite? And if you have to do two of your top 5.
Well, guess what my number one strength is?
Has to be related.
Futuristic.
I can see it.
It's a gift.
Yes.
It is a gift. We
have
this ability to see what can be. Are you a dreamer?
I'm a daydreamer.
Yeah.
Literally a daydreamer. I dream during the day, not just at night.
Have you been that way?
All my life.
See, that's what I love about understanding our strengths is they've always been there since we were young.
Yes.
And most people don't recognize that they've always been there creating successes for us.
Because we are who we are, even as babies, right? That's
so
the point
true.
of the strengths, right? You don't do a whole bunch of changing on that, right?
No. So futuristic, then I'm a maximizer.
Oh, I could see.
Okay. I like excellence.
That's right. And your sales comes out,
excellence,
right? It's competitive somewhere in there.
Yep. Belief.
Okay, I told you.
Stubborn, convicted.
Whatever words you want to use, right?
Arranger.
Okay.
And then my personal favorite that I love is activator.
Interesting. A bias toward action.
I love to create momentum, and I don't sit around. And that hence go back to what happened when the world shut down.
That's right.
I was like, what am I going to do? Sit here and wait for a speaking engagement to happen or me to go into a company? So I had to create momentum.
I love it.
And that's the birth of what happened. But I noticed one of your other strengths because I had the privilege of getting my hands on your top 5 strengths. And I see this in you. Self-assurance.
Oh, yes.
There is a certainty within you, and you're not afraid to take risks.
So I'm going to give it a slight modification to it.
Yeah.
I'm always afraid to take risks, but I do it anyway.
Because you have self-assurance.
Because I have self-assurance. So that's, he has no fear. Do you understand? I just told you, when I walk out on the stage, I'm ready to lose my stomach, right? It is, and every time we make a major decision, especially because you're ahead of the curve. So when you announce it, when you go, people are going to say, what are they talking about? Just briefly, an example of that is here at SHRM, when we decided that we were going to broaden our scope from just representing the HR profession to all things work. There were people 7 years ago who said, there's no way you can take that much space in the world. Like, you have your niche and it's HR professionals. And I said, well, we can't elevate HR professionals if we're the only people who think we add value. I've got to bring others into the tent. I've got to bring CEOs. So we acquired CEO Academy, and people are scratching their head. And then we went further and started talking to politicos, elected officials, and I hope we get to talk about this. And they're divided, right? There's Republicans, there's Democrats. There are a few independents, but largely they're in two camps. And that's dangerous. Like, when you go into that, whenever I go take a picture with someone, if I take a picture with a Democrat, as I did the other day, getting off of a plane in Miami, Congresswoman from Miami, Frederica Wilson, Democrat, I post it. And I know I'm going to get some snarks
50-50.
from Republicans. It's just like, right?
It's true.
And you just have to decide. So the point about self-assurance is we posted it. I braced for it. So I knew someone was going to come for me, and more than one. And then you say, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's where self-assurance comes in. But it's not that you don't have fear. God knows every time I make, because of how divided the country is, it's almost, you prepare every day. Every word I say is going to upset someone.
It's true.
And it's going to be a lot of someone's, because it's not like the 5% of it's sometimes 20, 30% of people. So that's an uncomfortable position to be in.
Oh, I can only
But
imagine.
you build your self-assurance over time, and you also build a little bit of a shell around yourself so that you don't really, I say this with a right love, but you do have to say, I don't care. I just don't care what they say, because if I did, I couldn't be a futuristic person, because I'd live now. And some people need to live in the day. I need to think about the future.
That's so futuristic. I have a really hard time living in the day.
I do. Trust me.
But, and this is where, being a leader, we have to be so aware of how we show up, because the people around us don't show up the same way.
That's right.
And so when you think about
empathy, by the way, is what you just described, being aware of how
it's true.
That's right.
But when you think about organizations and cultures, this is why I love the work using strengths to help leaders connect with the people they lead. How do you see that playing into with inclusion as well?
Well, so that's by definition, if you have a diverse workforce, so the person who's sitting across from me is different, then one, I need to become more of an empath. I need to actually try to understand how they're experiencing life, not how I think they should experience life, but how they actually do. That's number one. But when you talk about your strength, which again, I'm a big fan of Gallup's work on strengths, is, I just want to say this. We were all taught that you can be and do anything you want to do.
So true.
And guess what? It's not true.
It's not.
It's just not true.
I will never be a singer on American Idol.
And I'm never going to be a basketball player as much as I want to be, right? They're just, I can spell it. I can defend one, but I will not be one. And I think that's what I loved about, and it was just profound for me, is for the first time, and I was, 25 or so. I was in corporate America before I was introduced to the strengths, is for the first time, it was like, it's okay to have weaknesses. We're going to focus on your strengths, because if you take these 5, 10, 15 things, you can really explode instead of using all of your efforts to focus on these things that you will never be great at. Like, Michael Jordan could be my personal tutor, and I would never be able to play basketball. So it's pointless to focus on my weaknesses. That's what I love about it. And so from a leadership perspective, imagine if we took all of the people managers out there, from frontline people managers and supervisors in retail locations, and said, let's help you identify your strengths and let's make those your superpower. Like, let's really focus on those. Imagine what we could do to unleash the power of, you're talking about maximizing human potential. That's what you do.
And the younger we can teach students what their strengths are, that's the work that I really love, when it gets there in college and students. And just, we're both parents.
Right.
You have a teenage daughter.
Oh, yes, I do.
I have 2 teenage boys.
Oh,
so
I don't know I can tell you the girls are harder to raise.
I've heard that.
Oh.
I've heard that, but the boys are more expensive because
fair
the
enough.
insurance.
Oh, that's
so
right.
I can say that's a fact. But being a parent of teenagers right now, I've heard a lot of what you shared recently. You were on Capitol Hill not too long ago.
Yes.
Our education system, I loved what you said, and I hear it from my own boys all the time.
Yes.
They look at me and they're like, Mom, why are we learning these things?
Pointless.
How am I ever going to use this? And I look back, I failed algebra twice, Johnny.
Right.
I'm not going to use
You're not
algebra.
going to use algebra. Right. And what we did was we destroyed some people. There are people who dropped out of high school because they failed algebra. There are people who dropped out of college. Like, we literally derailed people's careers because someone that's not their strength, will never be their strength. And guess what? Teach them how to play to what they do well, and imagine what you could become you. But think about how many people were derailed as a result of that. But here's a funny thing. We continue this out of PK through 12 through college into the workplace.
Yes, we do.
We do the same thing. We put people in roles that they will never be successful at.
True.
And we think, this is my pet peeve for the listening audience is, we do a better job, I think, inventorying what someone's strengths are and then putting them in roles that play to their strengths. We don't do that enough. So a lot of people who leave our organizations are actually very talented and probably could. Here at SHRM, we just announced at our all-employee staff, every meeting, we talk about our transfers. And a transfer, they're not promotions, they're transfers, because what we're trying to do is find out where are your strengths and where can we use them in the organization. Up is not the only way. Sometimes you go lateral, as you and I know. Hell, sometimes you go down. I went down to become a CEO. I'll never forget my first CEO job. I took a pay cut because you have to start at the bottom again and work back up. But back to your fundamental point is, in the workplace, we have got to embrace this idea of helping every employee know what their strengths are, how to build on those strengths, and then connect them to how they can help the organization benefit from their individual strengths.
And there's magic in that.
Oh,
because
gosh.
when you can put that together
Yes.
and really find the right fit for where they will be their best,
That's right.
most engaged, but deliver quality work, that's a no-brainer.
It's a win-win, right? You can't.
It is
It's
a win-win.
That's right.
So I have a really good question that I'm curious.
Well, all of these have been good so far.
But since we're at Coffee with Kelly and we're talking about coffee, if you were to go back in time and think about Johnny as a young boy, if you were to sit and have coffee with yourself back when you were young, what would you tell yourself then, knowing what you know now?
Gosh, that's a great question. I'm going to tell you why it's so great. I tell when we're meeting as an executive team often, I say, imagine your 25-year-old self. But you're asking me to go all the way back and imagine my 9, 10, 11-year-old self. You know, believe it or not, I would have much earlier identified my strengths, and I'd say, play to your strengths. That's really, gosh, you just hit something in me, because I did, early on, my dad wanted me to be athletic. I was not particularly athletic. My sister was, but I put a ton of energy into that time, that if I put that energy into some other things, like I'm a natural orator, I'm naturally futuristic, I'm naturally an analytic type, right? If I had done that then, now I've had a great life, so I have nothing to complain about, but I can only imagine what I would have become had I done that from, call it 10 years old until 18, as opposed to finally getting focused on my strengths when I was 25 years old. I mean, it was a 15-year gap that I really could have unleashed some power. So that's what I would do. And I would say to my 10-year-old self, and I don't know that 10-year-olds talk to themselves, because I was a big dreamer. So I definitely saw, but I bought into very early, you can be whatever you want to be. Number one, which I now know is not true. And like most kids, I wanted to make my parents happy. So it wasn't only I can be whatever I want to be, but I want to be what they want me to be. Now that I reflect on it, gosh, how great it would have been to say, here are your strengths, and let's figure out what you can be in the context of what your natural strengths are.
I hope my boys think of that as well. We use strengths in our household. So like, we're a strengths-based family.
I love it.
So my husband, great date night conversation.
That's right.
We understand why we don't agree on everything, but my kids, they understand, like, we're helping them understand like who they are at this age, so they can really think about where will they have a career where they feel most fulfilled and do a great job. And I think that's so important as parents too, to set our kids up for success.
And I'm not knocking my parents. God, I love them to death, and it all worked out.
Yeah.
But they were, I think sometimes as parents, we're busy and not all parents,
Sure.
but I want the kid to be what I want them to be.
Yes.
Or I want them in some instances to be what I wanted to be.
Absolutely.
Right.
And they didn't know.
And they didn't. Right. We don't
They
know.
were just trying to put food on the table and pay the mortgage.
Different era. Right.
So it was.
And so here we are now with an opportunity, with information to know there's a better way to do this. And so I love that. Gosh, that is such a great question. You've triggered something when I go home tonight and talk with my 14-year-old. We are not a Strengths family. Funny that you mention it.
Yeah.
I'm a Strengths leader, but I've compartmentalized those things and I haven't taken that home. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
Talking about a
thing,
lesson.
understanding
Wow.
your kids, for sure. And then one last thing I want to say I admire you about, and this is when I found you at the Global Leadership Summit a few years ago.
Yes.
I love that you're vulnerable and you know who you are.
Yes.
And I love that you're connected with your faith as well.
Yes.
And I admire that
Thank
in
you.
a leader. You're not afraid to share
No.
that. It is who you are, and I admire that within you.
Thank you. And you come under attack for even that. That's so like, I'm not going to belabor the point other than to say that requires even courage. Because in many instances, I'll never forget going to a dinner and it was a business meeting and the food was served. And I said my own little prayer first, real quickly. And afterwards, one of my business leaders said, you probably shouldn't do that at a business meeting. And I said, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm thankful for this opportunity and this food. I'm even thankful for your advice, but this is what I'm going to do. That's when I became more convicted in how I saw the world. But thank you, because you know, I respect others who don't share the same tenets, faith-based, but they have to respect mine as well.
Absolutely. Be you. We just say be yourself, and we love you for who you are no matter what.
That's right.
So I've had a wonderful
This has actually been, and I've learned a lot. I'm literally going to go home and talk to my daughter tonight about this. So thank you.
Yeah. So any last words for our audience? What would you leave them with?
Yeah, I'm going to continue the metaphor of a storm. We're in the eye of the storm right now, using a hurricane. I'm from South Florida.
Yes, you are.
But it's going to take, we're in about another year of this storm, from not just the White House and the Congress and the political environment, but we're at this really interesting point right now where leadership will matter more than ever. If leadership has ever mattered, it's right now, because your people are fearful. They don't know what's coming next. And this is when leaders show up the best.
So thank you for this moment. And have you had a great experience on Coffee with Kelly?
Gosh, I've enjoyed this immensely. I'm serious. And so when you get invited to do these things, you're like, whatever. But I was motivated because I liked you. From the first day we met, we connected. But your questions were quite insightful. And I hope that the folks who are listening walk away from this and they've learned something, because I learned something. And hell, I'm on the show with you.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you. Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.